Welcome to the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where we drink booze, have beards, and talk books. Each episode, we tackle the best in news and brews, and then we do a deep dive on a free-to-read short story. So why don't you come on in and join us? As always, I'm Bob Who Tells by Bob.
And I'm the ass of the podcast, Derek.
And we're bringing you one of our little short episodes, just a little dab to do you till you get the big short read episode.
The
at the end of the month.
honkin' episode.
The honkin' episode. And we're just going to briefly talk about the Spellmonger series.
Now, this is probably the first, because it's independent, right?
Yes, indie published.
It's one of the first.
Terry Mancour.
Probably the only independent book other than yours that I've
read.
Yeah.
Okay. So you recommended that I read this, and I did. I read the first one.
What do you think?
And I liked it. Well, no, wait. This is the year's history.
Okay.
And I read it, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty good.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
That's all I've read. Yeah,
it was pretty good.
Interesting world.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And then I
need to read the second one.
Well, and so then I set it down and kind of forgot about it. And then, I hang out on the fantasy subreddit. And every so often, every fucking day, people go on there and like, hey, I like this kind of book.
What should I read?
And I saw a couple. I've seen a few threads over the years where like, hey, I really want some kingdom building. Like seeing someone like really just like building up a kingdom or something like that. And everyone fucking recommends Spellmonger.
Really?
Right.
Because that sounds like something cool to read.
It does. It intrigued me very much. Here's the catch. Now there's a ton of books in this series at this point. Like I think in the main series there's like 14 books.
Wow.
And then looking online, it looks like there's like books like book 2.5. Like stuff like he's gone back in and written other stuff.
Can we just address like the character that it's following?
Yeah.
The fact that there are 0.5 just fits.
Yeah,
him.
It does. And so I was like, okay, so here's the thing. I read book 1 years ago when you recommended it. And then cut pan to a few months ago. And I kept seeing the recommendations like, well, that was
probably 2 years ago when you read the first one.
It was
maybe
longer.
3.
It was longer. It was a while back.
Oh.
Goodreads would tell me. But to the point where I just remember the broad strokes.
Right.
And so fire up book 2, and I'm like, oh.
Does it pick up where the first one left off?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Few months.
Yeah.
A few months after.
Yeah.
I don't want to give spoilers because you may.
I'm probably going to listen to the next one.
Yeah,
first
you
one.
should. I'll be honest with you. Reading these is what got me off my ass to publish my books. Because these are recommended all the fucking time. They've got thousands of reviews on Amazon. And they have a surprising number of very glaring formatting and grammatical issues. And I was like,
made you feel more comfortable. He was like, oh, if I miss something, it's not going to be
as well as Dill's like, I don't know that my story will be as good as his, but I can guarantee you when my book comes out, it will at least not have these formatting issues. And it's not, they're not super bad.
See, because I've only done the audio book.
It wasn't, I don't remember them in the first one, but just like the third book had a surprising number of formatting issues, like weird paragraph breaks and stuff like that. And so I was like, damn it, people love these books and they don't seem to be freaking out about that. If I do make a mistake,
it'll be okay.
They're not going to put my head on a pike.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully. So read the second book and was a little out of my element, Donnie. Didn't quite remember as much about the
You thought you did?
as I thought I did. And there was a lot of like, oh, what the fuck was that? Anyway, but once you get to the third book, it's fucking not empire building, but if you don't want any spoilers, this is a spoiler, but it's not a big spoiler. It doesn't. Obviously, you know that there's 14 plus books in this series. Our main character is still alive,
Right.
so he's alive. That's
Mm-hmm.
there is a spoiler, but he continues doing what he does in these books, and he gets rewarded with, like a little fief. Like a king is like, okay, bro, you can have that little backwoods place,
And he builds it up, kind of thing.
and it starts him. He's the lord of the manor of this really backwoods place, and it's him. And what's so cool about it is he's a wizard, and it's him using magic to build up this backwoods space, and it's really cool. It's so cool, in fact, that without going to spoilers, you remember the first book. You remember the goblins.
Yep.
The goblins. That issue is a ongoing issue without going in depth, and that he is sporadically called to handle. And it's to the point where, like, man, I don't want to read
More goblin fighting. Just build your kingdom, man.
Yeah, this is what I'm here for.
So you like the kingdom building, right?
Love it.
So I need you to bear with
Absolutely
me,
love it.
because this works surprisingly well with things that I've been experiencing lately.
Yeah.
So I watched an anime recently,
Okay.
and Bob, I feel like you should watch it.
All right.
So far, it's got 2 seasons. The first season is 24 episodes, so
Okay,
you
yeah.
can stop at that if
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
But it's an isekai. Do you know what an isekai is?
Is that the one where is it like Portal Fantasy?
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, except for it depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
But in this case, main character dies and is reincarnated as what? As a slime. He's reincarnated as a slime.
Okay.
So it's a weird story. I enjoyed it. People love it.
Yeah.
I think it's good. However, if what you're looking for is a character building an empire, you would really like this.
Okay.
Because it's nothing but like the slime being reincarnated, having ridiculous power somehow through
Yeah.
means that I won't explain, because if you watch it, you'll
Right.
see. And him building a country almost without meaning to.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's like he
Well-
does a thing, helps some people, then does a thing and helps some people.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're awesome. We're going to keep following you. He's like, please don't do that. Like, I don't want to do this. But then he has gained responsibility for these people. And he's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of you as best I can, but I don't really know what I'm doing.
Right.
Next thing you know, he has a kingdom. And he's like, fuck.
Well-
then he has to start doing diplomatic missions with other countries.
Oh, wow.
He like starts having to dress nice,
Yeah.
and like go out and do diplomatic stuff. He has to learn how to give speeches, and people. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Okay.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
that's become a pretty popular a genre of
It's interesting.
literature
Yeah.
currently. Lit RPG.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of like a subfield of lit RPG where one of them is called Dungeon Core, where the idea is it's sentient dungeons, basically like Dungeon Keeper style kind of books. There are all manner of books in this kind of field, like you die or you are hit by a bus or something like that. You wind up, you're now in a fantasy world in the body of a minor noble or stuff like that. I'm just not a super big fan of the lit RPG genre. Like to me,
I've tried it, and
to me, the ideas are cooler than the execution.
it
Typically.
always is. Always
And
is.
this is not to besmirch the lit RPG genre, because there are people who fucking love it.
No, I'm going to besmirch it because it can be a great idea, but
Yeah.
if you have shit
Well,
presentation, it doesn't
that's
matter.
the thing is, like, a lot of the lit RPG. Now there are some people that don't do this. They are exceptional.
Right, of course.
But the bulk of people writing lit RPG are trying to cash in on dollars, and they're writing.
And that
to
is not fun.
Writing to the trends, and
I hate that.
And the quality suffers.
If the story you're telling me is not a story you want to tell, I can feel it, and I'm not
Yeah.
going to enjoy it.
So I've been published a number of times in anthologies, and I've submitted to more anthologies. That used to be
Well,
I
you
did
did.
I did a ton of that. I've been published in like 5 different anthologies, I think, and every one of those, it was a story I already had written that I submitted. I've submitted to probably 2 times that number, at least 10 to 15 other anthologies, and now, granted, a lot of them were stories I already had written that just got turned down, but there were several anthologies that I was like, I love that idea of that anthology, and I would write a story to fit, and they never got accepted. Any story I've ever written to fit a theme never got accepted. That's not a story I would have written otherwise.
Right, and I feel like if you ever read something and you get a theme that you're interested in, don't use it now.
Yeah.
Put it in a file somewhere, and then when you can fully form an idea of that story, write it then.
Yeah.
Because you can feel it. You can tell when somebody is writing for the prompt, and it's not.
But so here's why I think it works. Just like you read fantasy for the characters, and I read fantasy for the plots, there are people that are like me that are even more like me.
Right.
They're only there for the plot. They
100%.
don't care about the prose at all. They just, and a lot progression fantasy is super popular right now. It's just, these characters basically leveling up, getting more powerful, and people love that. And it caters to people who don't care as much about character development or the prose or things like that. They're just I'm like an 80% plot guy,
and they're 112.
These are the 100+% plot people, and they love it. There's a huge overlap between them and manga lovers. I have found.
Yeah.
So no, if that's what you like, man, I ain't gonna yuck your yum.
Oh no,
that ain't what I like.
And the thing is usually that's not what I like. But there might come a time where I do like.
Now, I read Sufficiently Advanced Magic, which is lit RPG. It's one of the most famous.
Yeah, I think I have that.
It's good. It didn't
Well, the thing
blow my mind, but it was good.
It's always, am I in the mood for this?
Yeah.
If I go into it knowing that's exactly what I'm going to get, then I'm going into it expecting that.
Yeah.
So then I'm cool with it being what it is.
Yeah.
But given my druthers and me not knowing what I'm getting into, that's never going to be something I'm going to appreciate.
No.
Yeah.
So Spellmonger has somewhat of those elements, I guess you could say, but it's definitely not lit RPG. But it does have some slight elements of I'm not going to say it has elements of lit RPG. I'm just going to say it has themes and issues that I feel like would appeal to that crowd to a large degree.
I agree, just from the first one.
Yeah. But yeah, no, empire building, like building up a nation kind of stuff. Yeah, that stuff's cool. I like that.
I'm with it.
So yeah, that was a quick little shorty for you. A little quickie. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, may the blessing of the beard be upon you. Thanks for listening. Please give us a like, review, or subscribe on the podcatcher of your choice. And you can support us directly at patreon.com/talesbybob. And as always, feel free to stop by our website, booksbeardsbooze.com.